Before you make it to the top, you'll have to master this. It's the secret ingredient without which pro wrestling matches simply fail to deliver. And we're going to get super specific about it next. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my career, I've been very fortunate because I've worked in front of the cameras as a pro wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator too. But I've also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, consultant, and a bunch of other things as well. And I bring the sum total of all of these experiences right here to the Till We Make It project, which is both this YouTube channel and the work I do over on Patreon. If you'd like to join our community over on Patreon, follow the link down below in the descriptus. And today I want to offer thanks to my two newest patrons, Jackson and Dugan. Thanks for being part of the team. They are helping me on my way to achieving my goal for this year, which is to reach 100 patrons. So if having access to all of this kind of information and knowledge is important to you, consider supporting Till We Make It. Jump on that link. I'll also put one at the end of today's video. Today, I want to break down the secret sauce, so to speak, of professional wrestling. And if you've been watching Till We Make It for any length of time, you probably know that I break down everything that makes up a pro wrestling match into one of three categories. And they are mechanics, performance, and structure. And what we're going to be talking about today is performance. It is how the match is performed. And the concept that we are specifically focusing on is the illusion of conflict. When we fail to create the illusion of conflict, our matches end up looking like practice. All of those in-ring mechanics that you've been mastering in training, they need to be infused with the illusion of conflict to make them show ready. Or in other words, we have to perform those moves, those spots, those in-ring mechanics in such a way that it creates the appearance that we are in conflict, that we are fighting against our opponent, not that we are working together with our opponent to create the match. Today, I want to dial into 9 spots where you must have the illusion of conflict properly performed if you want your matches to deliver at a higher level. Ready? You may have heard that old wrestling adage which says everything you need to know about a professional wrestler is right there in their lockup, in their collar and elbow tie-up. And I have absolutely observed tryouts where the fate of potential candidates is decided solely on how they lock up. The illusion of conflict must be present from the initial contact. And that means finding a happy medium between a collar and elbow tie-up, which is stiff as a brick, that nobody wants, and looks like wet spaghetti. It must create the illusion of conflict from first contact. The second one we're going to dial into is really plaguing wrestling here in the modern era. It's this: the urgency to the cover, the urgency to the pin attempt. That is to say, showing that you're willing to hustle in order to win the match. To properly create the illusion of conflict, the audience must believe you're really trying to win. And in a wrestling match, you win by pressing your opponent's shoulders to the mat for the count of 3. So if your opponent's back is exposed and you're just taking your time showing up for the cover, the illusion of conflict is completely absent. Before we explore this third point, would you take a moment right now and leave a like-a-palooza down below? It tells YouTube to share my videos with more people. Thank you for doing that. Okay, up next, you need to tighten up the timing on your strikes, especially if your matches frequently feature a bit where you and your opponent exchange strikes back and forth. Because if it appears to the crowd that you are leaving a big enough gap in there, that you are waiting for your opponent to return fire, the illusion of conflict ends up being completely destroyed. I don't mind telling you, this next one on my list is a mistake I am guilty of making a lot. It is when you simply offer your arm so that you can be whipped across the ring. Don't offer it to your opponent. You are telegraphing to the audience that you know what is supposed to be coming next. Just keep selling. Leave it at your side. They'll come and get your forearm when it's time. They really will. I'm bad at that one. I'm sorry. This next one may have a different application for every one of you watching, so listen carefully. Crowd work can never supersede the story. Do you know what I mean by that? If the story of your match is that you are relentlessly breaking down the left arm of your opponent, and you have an opportunity to continue telling that story, but you simply press pause on that so that you can go and work the crowd, you are sacrificing the illusion of conflict. The crowd work has to fit neatly into certain gaps, but never come before the story of your match. If you teach the audience that playing with them is more important than the story that you are telling, the illusion of conflict evaporates. This next one has become shockingly ubiquitous over the last 20 years. It's this: you should never just let your opponent freely get up off of the mat. Not when the point of wrestling is to put them down there and hold them there for the count of 3. And I'm not talking about circumstances like the referee is calling for a break, or if you're having a match under Mount Evans rules. I'm talking about when you get to the end of a spot, and rather than grabbing a hold, you simply allow your opponent to get back up. You want to show struggle, show them that you are in conflict. And if you're allowing your opponent to simply get up off of the mat, it's as if the illusion of conflict has been abandoned. Up 7th on my list is the way that you perform your corner attacks. It must be done with an explosiveness that minimizes the gap between you and your opponent. Once you send them across the ring into the far turnbuckle, you want to chase behind as quickly as the spot allows. To linger in the far turnbuckle creates too big of a gap, and when you have that much separation, all the tension in the match is lost. This penultimate point on my list will become obvious to you if you watch your own matches back for the purpose of self-critique. So if you are the heel and you're running the heat, watch your body language late in Act 2. If your body language doesn't look tense, it doesn't look like you're still trying to win the match, maybe because you're a little blown up and you're trying to grab a couple deep breaths before the comeback begins, you've got to tighten that up. If there is slack in your body language late in the heat, there is no illusion of conflict. Last, but certainly not least, you need to struggle every time a pinning combination is applied to you, except in those cases that require a dead cell, like following a knockout blow. Someone schoolboys you, wraps you up in a crucifix, kick with your feet, get your whole body moving and rocking to escape that pinning combination. Show the audience how difficult it is to escape, because when those pinning combinations are legitimately applied, they are difficult to escape from. Perform that illusion of conflict, and you're going to get better reactions for all of your matches. If exploring some of this underlying psychology of pro wrestling is fascinating to you, I have a playlist right here on my channel which dives even deeper into this and related topics. It's appearing on screen right now, along with a roll call of all my awesome patrons, without whom this channel simply would not continue. So consider joining us. Follow the link on screen right now.